Moving on to the 1990s, we know that this was a tough time for the comic book industry. It almost sunk entirely due to the comic book crash happening about midway through the decade, despite there being more mainstream appeal with comics than ever before surprisingly. There was just an oversaturation of comics on the market, which caused the majority to lose their value. Mainstream media targeted the money-making potential of rare comics, and publishers began utilizing pointless gimmicks that were mainly just cosmetic in nature, like special polybags or holofoil and glow-in-the-dark covers to upsell them. The entire landscape of the industry was changing, and I think there was a disconnect between the publisher and consumer. Everything was being thrown at the wall to see what stuck. So much of it was forgettable or downright ridiculous. Anyways, let's count down the top 5 best comic characters to come out of the 1990s decade. Though it was a dark time for the industry and medium, there were a few bright spots, and I'm gonna list them. Here we go. Starting off the list with the powerhouse Bane, who debuted in a big way, breaking the spine of Batman in the 1993-1994 storyline Nightfall, one of my favorites. Bane was different than a lot of other brutes we knew in comics at the time, because not only was he strong, but he had the brains to back it up. Though he hasn't made much of an impact in comics since the events of Nightfall, apart from the odd appearance here and there, his debut was unforgettable, because he did what no other Batman villain could do up until that point, successfully break the Bat. Next on the list at number 4 would be Cletus Cassidy, Carnage. This symbiote is the offspring of Venom, and was the best character of his kind to be created following him. Debuting in April of 1992, Carnage quickly made a name for himself and showed off his more unstable, unpredictable, and extremely violent tendencies. He's stronger than both Spider-Man and Venom combined, due to his symbiote tapping into his psychopathic behaviors, and it's red in color due to it bonding with Cassidy's bloodstream. For number 3, I chose Deadpool. When he debuted among the pages of the New Mutants number 98 in February of 1991, he was depicted as a supervillain, a mercenary targeting Nathan Summers' Cable due to a bounty placed on his head. While he did crack a few subtle jokes here and there, it was far removed from the fourth wall-breaking stuff we know from him today. Over the decades, Deadpool became more of an anti-hero. The Merc with the Mouth is one of the most popular in the superhero genre today. At number 2, we have Harley Quinn. She made her first appearance in the Batman animated series episode Joker's Favor, which originally aired in September of 1992. A year later, she would make her way into the comics in issue 12 of the Batman Adventures based off the series, and then officially being added in to the rest of the Dark Knight's comic book canon with Batman Harley Quinn in October of 1999, part of the No Man's Land crossover. Since her inception, Harley has become one of the most popular characters in the DC universe, and her popularity doesn't seem to be fading anytime soon. Here we go with some honorable mentions. First, the Men in Black, originally published by Aircel Comics, which were then bought out by Malibu, and then later, Marvel. Sailor Moon, an immensely popular Japanese manga heroine who debuted in December of 1991. Doomsday, Omega Red, and Victor Zsasz, who made their first appearances in 1992, Mike Mignola's Hellboy in 1993, and the personification of death for speedsters in the DC Universe, Black Flash in 1998. But to close off the list at number 1, we have Todd McFarlane's Spawn, the greatest comic character found outside of Marvel and DC in my opinion. Spawn was the brainchild of McFarlane after he and a group of other artists left Marvel in the early 90s to form Image Comics. Spawn was a U.S. Marine turned CIA assassin named Al Simmons, who was killed by his partner and friend Bruce Stinson, codenamed Chapel, under the direct orders of Jason Wynn. Simmons is sent to Hell, where he makes a deal with the devil Malbolgia, agreeing to serve as his Hellspawn and command his army, but not before he can see his wife one last time. After being sent back to Earth, Simmons becomes the anti-hero Spawn, in order to stop the forces of evil. His powers are fueled by necroplasm, and if depleted, indicated by a cool timer, he will be forced to return to Hell, something he obviously doesn't want to do. So, Simmons uses as little of the necroplasm as possible, which is why he frequently makes use of firearms. Again, Spawn is the best comic character outside of Marvel and DC, and in the 1990s especially, he was quite popular. He's my pick for the greatest comic character to come out of that decade by far. Hopefully, you agree. And that does it for the 1990s. Stay tuned as I'll have a video on the 2000s coming out in the next few days. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to share it, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell icon to be notified of all future content I release. Also, check out my Patreon page if you'd like to become a financial supporter for channel NerdGasm, and I will see all of you in the next one. Take care.